Let's talk about South Korea, a country celebrated worldwide for its vibrant K-pop scene, mouth-watering cuisine, and relentless drive for innovation and success. From the outside, it looks like a nation bursting with energy and promise, a place where tradition and modernity blend seamlessly. But beneath the dazzling neon lights and the constant buzz of city life, a silent crisis is unfolding, one that threatens the very future of the country. By the year 2125, experts warn that up to 85% of South Koreans could simply vanish. That's not just a dramatic headline, it's a projection based on current trends. This isn't science fiction or a dystopian movie plot, it's a real data-driven forecast that has policymakers and citizens deeply concerned. Imagine this, a nation of 51 million people shrinking to just 7.7 million, fewer people than live in New York City today. The scale of this decline is almost unimaginable. This isn't a slow, gentle fade, it's more like a demographic cliff dive, with the population dropping off sharply in just a few generations. Entire towns could become ghost towns, their schools and playgrounds left eerily silent, echoing with memories of children who never came. The effects are already being felt. The economy is straining under the weight of an aging population, the military faces recruitment shortages, and the social fabric is starting to fray as communities shrink and businesses close. This is a five-alarm fire in slow motion. The world should pay close attention, because South Korea's crisis could be a preview of what's to come for other developed nations facing similar trends. How did a country that once stunned the world with the miracle on the Han River, transforming from poverty to prosperity in just a few decades, end up on the brink of demographic disaster? The answer is complex. It's a mix of intense economic pressure, rapid social change, and well-intentioned policies that sometimes had unintended consequences. South Korea demanded so much from its people, long hours, fierce competition, and high expectations, that many young adults are choosing not to start families at all. Understanding how a nation can, almost unknowingly, vote and work itself into a demographic corner is a lesson the entire world needs to learn. This is more than just a statistic or a headline. It's a warning about the future of societies everywhere. And for South Korea, the story is just beginning. The choices made today will shape the nation's destiny for generations to come. To truly grasp the scale of South Korea's demographic crisis, we have to look at the numbers that tell a story more dramatic than any headline. The most important metric is the fertility rate, the average number of children a woman will have in her lifetime. This single figure shapes the future of a nation. For a population to remain stable, the fertility rate needs to be about 2.1. That's the replacement level. Enough children to replace their parents and keep the population steady. But South Korea's fertility rate is just 0.7, the lowest in the world by a significant margin. It's a number that's almost hard to believe. To put that in perspective, for every 10 couples, only 3 or 4 children are born in the next generation. The rest? There simply aren't enough children to fill their places. In Seoul, the capital and largest city, the situation is even more dire. The fertility rate there has dropped to just 0.55, one of the lowest ever recorded in any major city worldwide. Since 2020, more people have died than have been born each year. The population is not just aging, it's shrinking, and it's happening at a pace that alarms experts. Projections show that by 2050, South Korea's population could fall to 47 million. By 2070, it may drop below 38 million, a loss of nearly a quarter of its people in just 2 generations. The median age is rising rapidly. By 2050, it will approach 60, meaning half the country will be seniors. The nation is graying at a speed never seen before. Imagine a population pyramid flipped upside down, just a handful of young people supporting a vast, aging population. The balance is completely reversed. South Korea is the world's 13th largest economy, a powerhouse of innovation and industry. But a shrinking workforce means fewer people to drive growth, pay taxes, and support the elderly. No other developed nation is aging as quickly as South Korea. The country is setting records for how fast its population is getting older. These aren't just abstract numbers, they're a warning sign flashing brighter every year. The consequences will touch every part of society. The vibrant nation that gave us Samsung, K-pop, and BTS could slowly fade, not from war or disaster but from emptiness. The decline is accelerating, and the effects are already visible. The world should be paying attention. The clock is ticking for South Korea, and perhaps for other nations facing similar futures. Why aren't South Koreans having kids? It's a question that's become more urgent as the country's birth rate hits record lows. And it's not just a matter of personal choice. There are deep-rooted reasons behind this trend. The answer is simple, yet harsh. It's punishingly expensive to raise a family in South Korea. For many, the financial burden starts even before a child is born and only grows from there. Raising a child all the way to university can cost over $300,000. Meanwhile, job security is uncertain. And for most young people, owning a home in Seoul feels like an impossible dream. Seoul's housing prices are among the highest in the world, making it nearly impossible for young families to buy even a modest apartment. On top of that, South Korea's grueling work culture leaves little time or energy for family life. Long hours and high expectations mean that many workers barely see their loved ones during the week. The fear of death by overwork, or gwarosa, is real, and it's a risk many face just to keep their jobs. For women, the situation is even tougher. They often face a brutal choice: pursue a career or start a family. Many are forced out of the workforce after having children, making the decision even more difficult. The education system is a pressure cooker, with parents spending fortunes on private tutoring and after-school academies, hoping to give their kids a competitive edge. After surviving this relentless grind themselves, many young people simply don't want to put their own children through the same stress and pressure. Social attitudes have shifted dramatically. Marriage and children are no longer seen as mandatory milestones. More people are choosing to stay single or child-free. The younger generation now values personal freedom, self-fulfillment, and career advancement over traditional family life, and they're unapologetic about it. It's not about selfishness, it's a rational response to a system that makes starting and raising a family feel like an uphill battle with little support. The social contract that once supported families has broken down, and the result is clear. South Korea's birth rate is plummeting, with profound consequences for the country's future. Ironically, this crisis began with government success. In the 1960s and 70s, South Korea feared overpopulation and pushed aggressive family planning. The campaign worked too well. Fertility dropped from over 6.0 to below replacement by the mid-80s. Anti-natalist policies lingered into the 90s even as warning signs flashed. The mindset shifted. Small families became the norm. Then came the 1997 Asian financial crisis, shattering job security and embedding economic anxiety. Stable jobs vanished, replaced by a hyper-competitive, precarious market. Young people raised in this uncertainty saw family as a risky burden. The result, a perfect storm of policy and economic trauma. The government taught people not to have kids, and they learned the lesson. Now the government is scrambling to undo the damage. It wasn't a sudden choice, it was decades in the making. The demographic monster is out of the box. A shrinking population triggers cascading failures. First, the workforce. Fewer young people means fewer workers, innovators, and taxpayers. Labor shortages are already hitting manufacturing and agriculture. The social welfare system built on a growing base is collapsing. Pensions and healthcare can't keep up. South Korea has the highest senior poverty rate in the developed world. National security is at risk. The military's pool of conscripts is shrinking fast. Rural towns are vanishing, schools closing, and universities fighting for students. Businesses, big and small, are losing customers as the population evaporates. The vibrant Korea we know could become a land of empty classrooms and silent factories. Life will concentrate in a few megacities, leaving the rest hollow. It's not just numbers, it's the slow fading of a nation. The crisis is already here. The future is uncertain. South Korea isn't alone. Many developed nations face demographic decline. Japan, Italy, Spain, and Germany all have low fertility rates and aging populations. But Korea's collapse is faster and more severe. Japan's fertility rate is 1.3. Korea's is nearly half that. Europe and North America use immigration to offset decline, but Korea is highly resistant to large-scale immigration. The idea of a multicultural society faces social and political barriers. Without immigration, Korea's only option is more babies. And that's not happening. The lack of an immigration plan B makes Korea's situation uniquely precarious. The same pressures exist elsewhere, but Korea's are more extreme. It's a global trend, but in Korea it's a looming catastrophe. The government hasn't been idle. It's spent over $280 billion on pro-natalist policies since 2006. cash handouts, childcare subsidies, parental leave, and housing benefits have all been tried. There are even matchmaking events for singles. The goal? Make having children more appealing. Work week caps and public childcare centers aim to ease work-life balance. Despite these efforts, the fertility rate keeps falling, from 1.13 in 2006 to 0.7 today. The realization, money alone can't fix this. The policies treat symptoms, not the disease. The real problem is deeper: economic insecurity, work culture, and social expectations. The government is fighting a 21st century crisis with 20th century tools. Why have these policies failed? They don't address root causes. Cash payments don't make housing affordable or fix toxic work culture. Subsidized daycare doesn't change a punishing education system. Real change requires structural reforms, tackling corporate power, overhauling education, and achieving true gender equality. Decades of low birth rates have normalized child-free lifestyles and shrunk child-friendly infrastructure. Once the cultural norm of having children fades, it's nearly impossible to legislate back. Experts warn the demographic trajectory is locked in for decades. Even a sudden fertility jump wouldn't reverse the decline quickly. The government's efforts may be too little, too late. The crisis runs deeper than policy can reach. Can South Korea avoid demographic extinction? Maybe, but only with radical change. It's not just about new laws or bigger budgets. The country must rethink what it means to live, work, and succeed. Immigration must be embraced as a survival tool. Patriarchal structures and toxic work culture must be dismantled. The education system needs reform to value creativity and well-being. This is a challenge for every citizen, not just the government. The world is watching. Korea is the canary in the coal mine. The projections are a warning, not destiny. The fight for Korea's future is on, if there's the will to change.